Good night, Belizeans at home and abroad. This is the Belizean Affairs Show number 470. 470. My name is Leonard Brackett. I'll be your host and temporary chairman until the chairman shows up. And I don't see any of our invited guests in the background yet. So, in the interest of timeliness, I'll proceed with the program the way we always do. That is that I'll bow my head and say a short prayer, after which I will go ahead and do a short scripture reading from the Bible. Uh, I'll just go ahead and bow my head in the meantime. Divine loving Father, once again we come before thy presence, asking that thou would accept our humble expression of gratitude and thankfulness to you for the privilege that thou hast given us of life, and secondly, the opportunity to still be alive among our family members, friends, and loved ones. We pray that thou mayest accept our humble expression of gratitude as well for being able to broadcast this 470th program of our Belizean Affairs show. And we pray that whatever we have to say tonight, may thou guide our lips, our minds, may thou provide us the integrity, the strength, the courage, the endurance, the perseverance, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and the fortitude with which to speak truth to power when need be. We pray that thou mayest bless our family members, each and every one of them, as if they were all mentioned by name and number. We also pray that thou mayest bless our friends and other loved ones wherever they are. We pray also that thou would bless our country of Belize, its people and leadership, and that thou would bless this country as well and the rest of humanity. Please be merciful unto them all as well, loving Father. Pray for those people who are in war zones, losing their lives and limbs and liberty in pursuit of justice and happiness. Pray that thou mayest bless those who are in areas where there are tornadoes, hurricanes, earthquake, and all manner of pestilence and devastation on the face of this earth, including those man-made. We ask these mercies in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you very much for allowing me to indulge in that part of our program. And I'll go and read from this book of Songs of Solomon. I will read chapter 1, starting at the first verse. And it reads as follows. The Song of Songs, which is Solomon's. Let him kiss me with the kiss of his mouth, for thy love is better than wine, because of the savor of thy good ointments. Thy name is as ointment poured forth before do the virgins love thee. Draw me, we will run after thee. The king that brought me into his chambers, we will be glad and rejoice in thee. We will remember thy love more than thy wine. The upright love thee. I am black, but comely. O ye, daughters of Jerusalem, as the tent of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon. And that is the ending of our reading for tonight. And the writer or author of that book, Solomon, was King Solomon himself. It is believed, or it is said, and he was glorifying the daughters of Jerusalem at that time and declaring that they were black. So, so much for people that don't think that black people existed during the days of King Solomon and prior to then. But I won't get into that. That's not our subject for tonight. Um, Let me just pull up. Uh, could you just spare me a second? By the way, I need to launch the other part of our program so other listeners can gain access. Just spare me about a minute. Hope not to be longer than a minute. Okay, so I'll try and do this quick. What am I looking at here? Okay, so we're live there. Okay, so let's edit. Okay, yeah, okay. Give me another 30 seconds and I should be through. Um, let's see, so, 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 it's weird. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. I can. Oh, one other thing I need to do here quickly before I make a mistake. Okay. Okay. So, thank you very much for allowing me the privilege to launch that part of the program. I did so successfully. So, other individuals who are listening to us and will be listening to us later on at their own convenience after they get home from work, or maybe sometime tonight or tomorrow or some future date, will be able to gain access to the program. Okay. Now, let's get down to it. Let's see. Quickly. Okay. Okay. Uh, Tonight's program, the part that I'm attempting to present right now, uh, until the chairman shows up, if you will, and may then change the program to whatever he had scheduled for tonight. In the interest of timeliness, like I said, I'm going to jump ahead of the chairman, make a presentation, and that presentation is going to come from Channel 7 Belize News. Um, there's a newscast that was made, and I'm going to read a little bit of what was intimated there in that newscast. It goes on to say, Minister landed, Minister Land defended 30 years long license granted to his son, says he loves his boy. There should be nothing wrong for him to love his boy. All parents are supposed to love their boys and their girls, by the way. But that does not mean that you use family members because you're a minister of a portfolio or a department and give those assets to your children, parents, friends, or other offspring, or whoever, just willy nilly, because they're not your own personal assets. They are the assets of they are the patrimony of all the people. And we entrust you as a member of the government with that particular portfolio to look after the affairs of the country, not your personal affairs or the affairs of your family at the expense of the public coffers or at the expense of our patrimony or treasury and or natural resources. There's nothing wrong for this for a minister, his son, brother, cousin, uncle, aunts, or whoever others as born Belizeans to partake in the assets of the country. But they should do so legally, lawfully, and constitutionally. It should not be a malignant process, as in this particular case here, where someone who doesn't have any ability and has showed no ability to get a 30-year contract implemented and or consummated will be given a 30-year contract, because at the end of the day, what will happen with that, if they don't have the means and the facility to carry it out, they won't take what is already vested in that contract and compromise it, sell it to somebody else who has the equipment and the experience and the knowledge to be able to do the timber extraction. So they will collect up front, and the other person will take that contract for the next 30 years and bleed the country. And within the contract, there's a stipulation to say, as first reference, that person can also renew that contract for another 30 years, which means that you're talking about a 60-year, potentially long contract, when the minister is only going to be in office for 5 years for each term. And very unlikely he will be in office within the next 30 years, much less 60 years. You see where I'm going with this issue? It's about raping and plundering the patrimony. If that person takes that 30-year contract or is given that 30-year contract without any ability or demonstrated ability to be able to fulfill the obligation of that contract, like I said, what has been done in the past and is likely to be done on this particular instance is to sell the contract. And a contract like that for 30 years, they can easily sell for about anywhere between $3 and $5 million. Because whoever is going to extract timber out of our area, from our country, and at that, let me say, it's a reserve. Okay? It's a reserve area of the country, which makes it more onerous. They could turn around and sell that contract to the Mennonites, who are big in the timber extraction, to the Chinese, who likes specialized hardwoods, and many other people. And that contract can be sold from one hand to the next hand to the next hand. And the first beneficiary of that contract will be the first person that had the 30-year contract awarded to him. So he will just get a 30-year contract given to him by his father or his father's ministry for him to go and collect a few $1 million off of. and turn it over to somebody else that will either do the work or sell it off to somebody else beyond that. But in the meantime, a few $1 million has already been gotten illegally, unlawfully, and unconstitutionally. But it's gotten under so-called uh, lawful process, under the color of law. It's basically a crime being committed under the color of law. Let me proceed with the reading of this particular presentation at Channel 78. And it goes on to say, and that 12 hours House meeting, they were referring to the last House meeting that was had last Friday, ended after Queen Square, area representative rose to criticize the Minister of Sustainable Development. He first highlighted the allegations of bribery against Deputy Chief Forest Officer John Pinello. Then he pivoted to the 30-year logging license that the ministry granted Orlando Habet's son. Orlando Habet is the minister in question that we're talking about here. Here is how that went. They proceeded to follow up that comment with a piece of tape in which we had different individuals speaking, which I don't have access currently to be able to replay that for you. So I'm just going to bypass that portion and go on to say that just after that matter was spoken about in the House by the member of the opposition, the article went on to say, and just before the closing, almost at midnight, which is to say, that on itself is tantamount to, treachery. We should not be having any meeting almost until 12 o'clock at midnight. It should start early, finish on a reasonable timing, a little late, not too bad, but not that late, almost midnight. When in fact they could have stopped off and come back on a following day, because time has to be allotted for proper process to occur. The ministers and the prime minister have to present the government business in the House, and the opposition must be given an opportunity to ask for their clarity on those matters and or contribute their own concept or ideas in regards to those particular matters before those matters become lawful, legal, and in some instances they vote on them to make them the law of the land. If you're breaking the law to start with, how can you create a law that is breaking the Constitution? Section 2 of the Constitution says that any such law is invalid on its face to start with. It is stillbirth. It has no life. It has no constitutional merits. It has no lawfulness and legality. But that's not how these guys rule. These guys rule as a cabal of scofflaws. Every opportunity they get to break a law, they go ahead and break one. Every opportunity they get to make a law that is onerous and punitive, they go ahead and make one. But they don't make the laws that would put them in check, that is, to support the law of the UNCAC, so that all these things that they're stealing from us and all these crimes that they're committing under the color of law, they can be brought to account legally with the force of law and with the support of the Constitution. The rest of the article goes on to say, and just before the close of the session, almost midnight, Mr. Habet defended the logging license, but more than that, he confirmed that that logging license recipient Arturo Polido is his son. And despite the accusation of favored contracts, he still loved his boy. There's nothing wrong for him to love his boy. But the loving of his boy doesn't mean that he commits treason, treachery, commits a crime under the color of law, self-enrich or enrich his family on the assets of the country because he's entrusted with a portfolio. That's an unlawful and illegal act. That's a criminal act. I want to grab my copy of the Constitution here for a minute and just read what the Constitution says about those type of actions and or behavior, because I don't want it to be said for people to believe that I'm just jumping on my program because I have a program on a platform and just be ranting off, saying stuff first and foremost that may not be true or have no merits or is not legal, lawful, or constitutional. No. I'd rather, instead of my just saying it and hope that people will believe what I had to say, that they'll hear what the Constitution has to say in regards to these matters. So I'll let the Constitution speak for itself in support of what is it that I'm presenting tonight. I'll go to the Constitution of Belize, Part 10, under what is called miscellaneous, and at Section 121 of the Constitution of Belize, subsection 1, which reads as follows. The persons to whom this section applies shall conduct themselves in such a way as not, as in the case of paragraph A, not to place themselves in positions in which they have or could have a conflict of interest. And under paragraph B, that they should not compromise the fair exercise of their public or official functions and duties. And it goes on to say further under paragraph C, to not use their office for private gain, either for themselves and or for other third parties under any criminal enterprise, action, conduct, or behavior. Those last three words were added by myself, by the way. They are not found in the Constitution. So I'm just pointing that out so that nobody may think that, the Constitution says those three words, but that I added them for emphasis and clarity and clarification, an effort to emphasize how onerous those conducts are. I go on to read further under paragraph D, which said that they should not demean their office or position. And under paragraph E, it says to not allow their integrity to be called into question, or, as in the final paragraph, paragraph F, to endanger or diminish respect for, or confidence in the integrity of the government. I would like to go ahead and read subsection 2 of the same section 121. And subsection 2 reads as follows. It says, this section applies to the Governor General, members of the National Assembly, as in the case of the minister that I just pointed out that the article was referring to, members of the Belize Advisory Council, members of the Judicial and Legal Service Commission, the Security Services Commission, or the Public Service Commission, as well as members of the Elections and Boundaries Commission, public officers of statutory corporations and government agencies, and such other officers as may be perceived, uh, may be prescribed, I'm sorry, wrong word, it's not perceived. The correct word there is to say be prescribed by law enacted by the National Assembly. So we can see that the Constitution speaks directly to the issue of self-enrichment and or doing anything untowards that will allow any officer of state, from the Governor General, who is a um, representative of the head of state, Prime Minister, other ministers or deputy ministers or ministers of state, CEOs, judges, you know, it said, I just read it just now, you know, all members who act on behalf of the state should act in such a way as not to appear to be onerous, to disrespect or disgrace their office, or even give the appearance of dishonoring their office. They're supposed to act honorable. And when you got these jackals, drunkards and hyenas and vultures and vipers and the rest of them colluding in cabinet and in other government high offices to steal the patrimony of the country, to appropriate unto themselves the assets of the country, then that's treachery. It's tantamount to treason when they do it in the BDF with the Defense Department budget. It's also tantamount to treason when they do it in the Forestry Department and dispossess the government of its assets and the ability to be able to make the money that should go into our coffers instead of their pockets. Nobody's saying that as Belizeans they're not entitled to make a living. What we're saying is, according to the law, nobody's entitled to steal, misappropriate, or take what is not theirs under false pretext. That's why we have prisons. That's why we have police officers. That's why we have a judicial system, and they should be prosecuted to the highest level to be made an example of. But instead of that happening, we end up with, from the Prime Minister to other ministers, trying to exculpate these criminals for their devious and deviant conducts. And then you have some of the very same head of departments and other members in the departments that facilitate these crimes being committed. Why? They go ahead and facilitate these crimes because they themselves commit crimes, steal money from the government coffers, steal assets from the government coffers, then give themselves lands and give their children lands, you know, then give themselves contracts, bloated contracts, and in some instances the material is not even delivered. The whole system that we have currently right now is stinking from head to toe. Like the fisherman will say, if the fish stink at the head, the whole rest of the fish is suspect. And then we'll have the Prime Minister come to us in public at that, repeatedly. It becomes like a congenital, effort on his part to be lying unnecessarily and wantonly when he doesn't even need to lie sometimes. He wants to come and tell us of all these criminal actions that are going on in these different government departments. He don't know anything about it. He don't know that anything is going wrong. His government is managing and working correctly and honestly. And even when the evidence, the documentation is made available to the public directly off of the streamlined payment systems and others, he's not intimating that, well, he don't think there's anything wrong and we should not be speaking to those issues, despite what our eyes, ears, and the rest of our senses are indicating to us. We should just lay back, let it blow over like a little breeze, and let the Auditor General and the Contractor General and all the other, top officials, they get together and figure out how to cover the damn thing up. They still think that we are a bunch of idiots out here. They went ahead and they put pressure on the members of the board for BTL to go ahead and try and spend $190 million to facilitate buying the Prime Minister's family and their business. Okay? And Mr. Ashcroft business. And the other, the chairman of BTL's family members' business. So they collude among themselves to rip us off, and we should have nothing to say about it. Just sit by, suck a finger, and pretend that nothing going on, or there's nothing wrong. All because we dare to trust them with our powers of governance. Belizeans at home and abroad, stop playing the fool, because you will be taken for fool, as is currently the case. I would like to go and read from the Constitution of Belize again. And I would like to re-emphasize Part 10 of the Constitution under the category of miscellaneous. Section 121, subsection 1, and I'll repeat or I'll read again the various paragraphs. It says, the person to whom this section applies shall conduct themselves in such a way as not to place themselves in positions in which they have or could have a conflict of interest. It goes on to say under paragraph B that they should not compromise the fair exercise of their public or official functions and duties. Under paragraph C, that they should not use their office for private gain to themselves and or, my words, in bracket, private gain and enrichment of their family members, friends, and others, especially doing so contrary to law, contrary to the Constitution, and for personal self-enrichment or to get any kickback from any of these people that they are going to pass our national assets on to. Under section E, they should not allow their integrity to be called into question, or, as in paragraph F, to endanger or diminish respect for, or confidence in the integrity of the government. And at every turn, we just had the Minister of Defense, the former Minister of Defense, being put on leave because of the shenanigans that were happening under his portfolio. And the next person that took over after him continued doing the same craziness and even went on to do even worse. Because not only did he had the CEO working with him, colluding to rip off the country's assets and do a lot of malfeasance, he also had the additional support from you had the CEO, you had the minister, and you had the other gentleman that was assisting them. And then the prime minister is going to say he didn't know what was happening when he is the minister of finance, and his cabinet secretary was also a participant in this process of using the Defense Department budget to rip off money from the system. Had a company which named was used with his initials as the name of the company. Turned around, and initially when he was being asked about it, pretending that he didn't know what they were talking about and that he had no involvement in any kind of business or whatever, when he was caught red-handedly, only to later on confess that, well, all he was trying to do was to help a friend. The audacity of this jackal to tell the public initially he didn't know nothing about none of that, he's not involved in none of that kind of stuff, and he thought, well, nobody had the goods on him, nobody had the receipts, nobody had the documents. When the documents were provided, he then tried to exculpate himself to say, well, all he was trying to do was to help. You're not supposed to be helping nobody with your office. It's illegal, it's immoral, it's unlawful, it's unconstitutional. I just read it just now from the Constitution, and it's been there long before I read it. Long before he participated in that process. He should have known that he was doing something criminal and incorrect. And the worst part is that the same gentleman, Mr. Stuart Leslie, as cabinet secretary that I'm talking about right now, is also the deputy governor general of the country, who goes over and signs documents on behalf of the governor general in her absence to facilitate the prime minister's cabal in cabinet to have laws brought into effect under his signature. He pulled that crap off between the current governor general and the previous governor general, who was becoming infirm because of senility. He acted as the transition governor general and signed off on documents and things that he should not have signed off on, because the new governor general was about to be inaugurated. And in the period of time between when the last governor general was demitted and the new governor general took over, he was there signing up stuff that should not have been signed on to or agreed to, facilitating the criminal cabal of our cabinet to be committing crimes, conspiring against the people and committing crimes against the people, apparently according to them, lawfully, legally, and constitutionally. When the Constitution already says that the government is the legislators are empowered to make legislations, and those legislations must come under the purview of the Constitution, because we only have one Constitution at a time. So if you want to go and make a bogus law that is unconstitutional, and you try to facilitate putting it in place to try and trump the Constitution itself, you're bastardizing the Constitution. You're committing a crime against the people. You're using the powers vested in you by the people, and because of their ignorance, you're pretending that you're empowered to bastardize the Constitution and to violate the Constitution. Any law that you make that is violative of the Constitution is null and void. I'll read it for you because as many dozens of times that I've read it, and other people have read it, it seems like there's no interest or intent in abiding and holding fidelity to it. Let me see where I'm at here right now. Oh man, I still got a long way to go. Okay, just give me a second. I'll get to it. That's 11. Okay, I'm very close. Not too far away now. 4. So I'm right there, close by. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to read from part 1 of the Constitution of Belize, where it says the state and the Constitution. And I'm going to go to section 2 of the Constitution of Belize, and I'll read subsection 1, which reads as follows. This Constitution is the supreme law of Belize, and if any other law is inconsistent with this Constitution, then that other law shall, comma, to the extent of its inconsistencies, comma, be void. Those are not my words. Those are the enshrined words in our Constitution. And our government should be holding fidelity to those words, the meaning of those words, and govern our country and people. I see someone in our back home. I'm sorry. I wonder how long. That's Mr. Morrison, I think. Oh man, I need to apologize. Please spare me a minute here. Let me try and see if I can bring in Mr. Yes, Mr. Morrison. Mr. Morrison?
Yes, good evening.
I'd just like to apologize to you first and foremost, sir, because I was
No
ranting
problem.
on, and I'm not too sure while I was ranting on, you know, I'm inside of my own head, you know, and I wasn't paying attention to the screen, remembering that I needed to facilitate you coming on.
Thank you. Thank you very much for letting
I'll
me.
come to you in a second, so I just want to clear the last thought that I had
Okay.
in my mind, and I'll just ask you for a contributor commentary from your vantage point. Okay. Yes, I was reading section 2 of the Constitution, which I just read. And I'll say something that I don't normally, I try to avoid in speaking to it or about it. But it exists currently in the Constitution. It was not there before. It was put in as item number 11 of 2011 during the Dean Oliver Barrow prime ministership and leadership and prime ministers of Belize management. And why I'm going to read it, as like I say, I don't normally involve myself in reading it because, as far as I'm concerned, it shouldn't be there, and I normally just ignore it because it's not lawful, it's not legal. It was already ruled upon as being unlawful, illegal, and unconstitutional. And the Prime Minister then, Mr. Barrow, was told by the Chief Justice of that time that it should not be part of our Constitution, but they still went ahead and put it in there. I'm going to just go ahead and read that part. And then they also did the same thing under section 69, subsection 9, all to try and immunize themselves from the dastardly conduct of bastardizing our Constitution and trying to grab power. I'll read it though. It went on to say under subsection 2 of section 2, the words other law, as I always emphasize when I read subsection 1 above, occurring in subsection 1 of this section do not include, according to him and his cabal at the time, does not include a law to alter any of the provisions of this Constitution, which is passed by the National Assembly in conformity with section 69 of this Constitution, which was basically a high-powered senior counsel, prime minister at the time, someone who should have known and did knew what was right and what was wrong, but for his inclination and tendency to be malignant, choose to put stuff in our constitution that did not belong there. And for further clarity, especially as in reference to the last few words of this um, part that I just read, when it says the words other law as stipulated in the constitution under section 2, he is saying occurring in subsection 1 of this section do not include a law to alter any of the provisions of this constitution, which is bogus to start with. That part of the statement already lend itself to, you know, uh, lack of fidelity. Any of the provisions of this constitution, which is passed by the National Assembly in conformity with section 69 of the constitution. That is to say, he was trying to then, like I said earlier, grab power. The constitution then would not be the supreme law of the land. The executive body, along with the National Assembly, the legislative body, would then reign supreme over the constitution to haul and pull it at will. And the third body, which is the um, judiciary, for all intents and purposes, would cease to have its authority vested in it as per the constitution under section 20, section 90, I think 93, 94, and 95, where it says that the judiciary shall have not only just full authority, but it shall have unlimited jurisdiction to determine the legality of any matter relating to the country of Belize, because that is where the decision to classify legal, lawful, illegal, and unlawful rests the powers of the judiciary to interpret the laws of the country and the constitution. But let me go back to 69, as I said earlier. It's kind of far away, so quickly, I just want to read it so you can hear it, Mr. Morrison, before I ask your comments, sir. And so the public can also benefit from hearing what these things are speaking to. Because, as I said, we have a bunch of jackals who are constantly misappropriating and misusing the powers vested in them, and attempting to take us for fools and doing wrong by us. Just let me see what far. No, it's 69. I'm at 59 right now. I need to go to 69. Just give me a few more seconds. I'll get there. Where am I? Okay, 65. Okay, I'm almost there. 69. I'm at 70 already. Okay, I need to go to 69.9. So I got that right here in front of me, in front of my face, and I'd just like to read it for context in terms of what the good gentleman was attempting to do with the Constitution when I say he was bastardizing it, and when the Chief Justice told him that he was bastardizing the Constitution and was ruled against. Uh, under Section 69 of the Constitution of Belize, subsection 9, which was done, like I said, as item number 11 of 2011, this was pushed in there, and it should not be there, but I'm going to read it because not too many people are familiar with it and its intended objectives. I should not have the ability to be able to read because it shouldn't be here. And then 69.9, it says, for the removal of doubts, it is hereby declared. By whom, I guess? I mean, he's presuming that he has the authority to declare something constitutional, when in fact that's the purview none of the executive or of the legislative. They have their own function. The legislative can make a million laws, but it is the judiciary that interprets those laws and deem them legal, illegal, and or unlawful or unconstitutional. But this jackal at that time The said former prime minister put this piece of junk in here so that I can be reading it now, and other people will probably pick up the Constitution, read it as well, and they will not be any more the wiser as to what happened, why it happened, and have no context of realizing that it shouldn't be there and we shouldn't be reading it and it shouldn't be affecting our legal system in the first place. Let me finish reading the stuff though. 69.9 says, for the removal of doubts, comma, it is hereby declared by me, Mr. Barrow, and my cabal, that the that the provisions of this section are all inclusive and exhaustive, and there is no other limitations, whether substantive or procedural, on the powers of the National Assembly to alter this constitution. That is to say, we would then end up with a supreme legislator or a supreme National Assembly, not a supreme law, not a constitution. Whatever the legislator dictates at any given time, they can change it as many or as often as they want, modify it as often as they want. And then the gentleman fails to remember that he, as a senior counsel, with the amount of knowledge and experience that he brings to the table, he should have remembered what the separation of powers doctrine is. Because he's smarter than me in those respects or in those regards, or should be. He should be more common sense, having practiced law for 30 odd years. And as our prime minister now, he should not be taking the powers vested in him and his legal knowledge to bastardize our constitution, overthrow our system, and then after he leaves, to have these other new jackals come on steroids to do worse than he was attempting to do. But he provided the pathway for them to believe or to encourage the people to believe that they're empowered and entitled to go above the Constitution and to manage the country unconstitutionally and without any regards, respect, or fidelity to the Constitution that they swore when they went to get the powers of ascension to manage the country. That was only a matter of convenience for them. It wasn't the reality of their management of the country, at least based on our past experience. I yield, Mr. Morrison, for your. This is an extraneous issue that I brought up, and my main focus was actually on the issue of the Minister of Sustainable Development giving his son 30-year contract that could probably turn into a 60-year contract, for which his son has no
Yeah,
ability and still nothing to be able to
yeah,
effectively fulfill that contract, but that he
yeah,
would probably turn around and sell it to some of the Mennonites or
yeah,
somebody else and collect a few
yeah,
$1 million up front. I yield back,
yeah.
sir.
No, it is quite disgraceful. It seems from where we sit and looking at this government, it is steep in corruption, and that all the ministers, everyone is out for themselves. It is just really corrupting the entire process of our governance to every level. That's what I see from that contract. That's what I see from the SpeedNet purchase. That's what I see from the contracts with the Defense Department. That's what I see with the contract that they had for painting the City Council building. Is what I see with the contract to purchase security services for the airport. It is steep in corruption, and it is so blatant, and they have been so put on notice on it, but yet there is no change because there's no one to hold them accountable. It seems they have no respect for the citizens and no regard for justice, and the courts are packed with, because it has so been slanted and so been distorted in terms of being a place of providing the true pattern of advocating for justice and the rights of the people. So there are lots going on that I think have been deeply corrupted in the system that makes it now unfunctional. I think we're very near the stage at this point in our history and our governance where
Failed
we can
state.
almost be said to be at the brinks of being a failed state, because
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing that holds anyone or anything within the system accountable to what should be the norms and the practices and the procedures and the legal path to how we are supposed to be managing our governance. So I am distraught, and I keep saying this, that we or people are so on the edge in terms of survival mode. Our opposition is almost non-existent in terms of being able to provide response to what's going on in this system. They yes, they get up and they make a few noise, but I am expecting that, and I haven't seen this yet, where the opposition, the judicial and legal opposition of our country, start finding ways within our laws and the Constitution to hold this government accountable, and they give a good mouth service to it and make up a lot of noise and stuff. But there are legal remedies that could challenge what they're doing in many of these instances that they are failing to act on. Either they don't seem to want to do it because they don't want, when it's their turn in power, that these same avenues become available to them, or whether it is lack of understanding of the rights of the people and the rights the Constitution provides for us to manage our society.
Just a quick statement. I'll let you finish up. I just want to interject something on a point of order. It is not realistically feasible with the kind of malignant people that are running the government right now and the way they are running it for any opposition, even if the opposition had 14 members in parliament, they will still have just three in the Senate, and they will have no ability to be able to stop the government from doing what the government is doing, even though what they're doing is unconstitutional, illegal, and unlawful. The reason why is because you got to take them to court. You have
Well,
to have
that's what
the
I'm saying.
resource.
That's what I'm
Wait, wait,
saying.
wait, wait, wait. You have to have the resource to be able to do that. The opposition is in no situation, having just gone through almost a near death scenario and working its way out of that grave, to even present itself as at its lowest ebb is when this government gave up part of their previous term to grab a second term because there was nothing as an opposition to be able to stop them from doing so. So it's not the opposition fault that these guys are acting onerous and criminal. It's unfair to bring that at their table and to say they are to be blamed for these guys acting the way. These guys are outright criminal minded. But I yield back, and I have more to say, but I yield back because I just asked you just not to let me chip in on one point. No, I yield back,
Okay,
Mr.
I dutifully respect what you say, but I totally disagree that the responsibility is not to have a viable opposition that could mount a defense and a challenge to the actions of the government. Um, uh, and to excuse them, to say that they don't have the resources, it is their responsibility to get the resources, to find the resources, to make that happen so that they can challenge them in court. And yes, with a super majority that the government have in terms of delegates, in terms of representation in the House, and could override everything and pass any law they want with the majority they have. Yes, that is true. And yes, the opposition is weakened because they have a minority number in the Senate. But that, if we had a viable, strong opposition, it usually acts as a deterrent to government pushing.
If
Let me finish. Let me finish. You already interrupted me. You already got me. You already got me.
too later,
Um,
if
yeah, yeah. So I am of the opinion that opposition that is weakened for whatever reason. They eat up themselves. They retarded themselves. They were not an appealing to the constituents when they went to the election, that the government took advantage of our democratic system and the system of our governance to call an early election and all that when they see a weakened opposition. That is all true, but it doesn't mean that we do not have the right and the responsibility to make sure that our opposition is worthy of the salary we give them, just as the government is worthy of the salary, should be a worthy of the salary that we pay them every month. So I am hoping that this is not yet a done deal, that somehow the opposition will find ways to challenge this, that the social partners, the unions, and others will bring this and create a situation where the government realized they were under some pressure and they made it slide for 5 months, but they did not do what they had committed themselves to do, and that was to go and find the records and present to the people of the country why this BTL Smart deal should go through. They did not present. They am no more wiser as to why this deal should go through. No documentation, no accounting has been presented to tell me that
They don't
this.
care. They don't care.
They, I understand that, but what holds them accountable is the people organized through the opposition, people organized through their social interests, through their financial interests, and and creating a pressure on the government to reconsider these positions. But so far, there's no such indication that this is there. Whatever pressure was there was not sustaining. It went away, and I heard nothing from the opposition asking the government where they were in terms of of presenting the people with the evidence of that they were doing some type of auditing, some type of declaration of the capacity to smarts to be sustained, and that we weren't buying obsolete um, um, equipment and so forth. There was nothing. So the government dropped it. So the opposition dropped it. So the social partners dropped it. The entire country just sat in wait
But
with no.
Mr. Morrison, that is your perspective, sir, and you're entitled to it. But
Well,
I
tell
can
me
tell you
where it. Tell me
otherwise.
where it is. Tell me. It is my
I can tell
perspective,
you otherwise.
but it is the evidence. The evidence is there. There's nothing. You cannot present.
The evidence is there that the government bamboozled the people, and the people went for the government and gave them a second term. The evidence is right there.
We're talking now specifically about the situation we have with the dropping of the purchase when the heat was on of Smart, and then the revitalization of it now at this late stage, and not having any information more smarter to tell us what makes Smart a smart deal for the buyers of BTL.
We're
We
speaking
know
from
that.
the vantage point of a reasonable person, but we're not dealing with reasonable people as the government officials who are bamboozling this process.
Yeah, I
It
agree.
would be
I
nice
agree
if
that
they would accept your premise and work
no,
according to
no.
what
I
you're
agree
saying.
that the
I would
government. I agree the
100%
government.
agree with you.
I agree the government and the BTL board are in some collusion, and it seems a corrupt practice that's going on.
They need
To
to go to
to
jail like we yourself, and like we always say, they need to go
Yeah,
to
yeah,
jail. How we gonna get
yeah,
them there?
yeah. Yeah, there seem to be some corrupt practices that's going on. We don't know where the social security board stands on it. We know that the member that had opposed it had had resigned and was replaced. We the opposition, or no one questioned, I think, who this new person was and what was there was no test to see
You're not
how
doing
they
you're,
would
you're not
evaluate.
doing your homework, sir. I keep telling you, you're not doing your
Well, you
homework. You
tell
keep
me where
saying
I'm wrong. You tell me where I'm
that's what I'm
wrong,
trying
Mister.
to say. You
No,
keep
no,
saying
don't
the
tell me I'm not doing
opposition.
my homework. Tell me
Wait,
what I did. Don't
wait.
tell me I'm not doing my homework because I know what I did. I know
You're
what I
saying you're
know.
saying that the opposition is not doing what the opposition is actually doing, and because you're not informed enough or pay
Well,
attention
tell me
or
what
care
they're
enough,
doing,
then
Mister
that you
Brackett,
can't
Mister
fault the
Brackett,
opposition for you not knowing what
Mister
they're
Brackett,
doing.
Mister Brackett. That's not
That's
an argument.
that's
Tell me
disingenuous.
what the opposition did. Tell me what the opposition party did. Tell me what the social partners did. I'm not just blaming only the opposition. I'm
Sir,
blaming the unions.
these
Let
people
me
are
finish.
talking. And wait. You tell me. You ask me to tell you. I'm saying that these people have been on the ball. They're working in the Senate. The senators, the opposition senators, them they have been working along with this other um, senators, them that are not from the government side, except for the one that the pastor um, that works on behalf of the religious senate senator, the senator working.
Yeah, Mr.
You know,
Wade.
the gentleman is dropping the ball because now he's becoming
No,
an
no, he's Mr. Wade.
yes,
Mr. Wade. Senator
he's
Wade
making
has a
excuses. He's making excuses for why is it that he is disassociating himself from the effort that the other guys in the tribe put down pressure upon the
That's not
government.
true,
That
Mister. That's not true, Mister
the
Brackett.
government needs 7 senators. They have 6 of their own, and with the one from Mr. Wade
Mr.
makes
Wade said
7. So
he,
they carry the day. There's
Mr.
none the
Brackett,
other
Mr.
senators then could
Brackett,
do.
Mr. Brackett, Mr. Wade
Yes, sir.
said
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
he did not participate in the walkout, but he opposes the government purchase of Smart.
That's not
So
all that
he,
he said. That is
but
not all that
that's
he
not all
said.
he said. That's not
And
all he
what he
said.
did.
But that's not. He didn't have to walk out. If he doesn't believe in walking out, that's fine. But
That's his prerogative.
as long as he stands with the
Whatever
people.
he's doing it on behalf of those who were supposed to be there to whop the damn conjuls them out of the marketplace because he's supposed to be following Jesus. And Jesus whopped them both out of the marketplace. Okay? But this one, they cuddle them. He try to work with them and they try, no. If you have to have a moral
Mr.
standing.
Brackett, he says he opposes the purchase of Smart. So from that statement, we can surmise that he's not going to vote for the purchase of Smart in the Senate. He's not going to consent to the purchase. That's the reading I have from
So,
his
sorry,
position.
I
And I
know a lot. I know a lot more than
well,
what
then
we are
if you
currently
know more,
discussing here.
then I'm ignorant of what you
No.
know.
I'm saying that I know a lot more than what we are currently discussing here because we could only discuss one little part. Okay, but there's more to the man's trajectory and his personality and his
That Mr.
what he has done in
Mr.
the
Brackett,
past.
that's
It's a
fine.
record.
Mr. Brackett,
Black and
Mr.
white.
Brackett, Mr. Brackett.
Go ahead, Mr.
Did you hear him say that he is opposed to the purchase of Smart? Did you hear him say that?
Sir.
I'm asking that simple question. Did you hear him say that?
Yes.
Then does that conclude or in some way aligned
No.
that
I'll answer your question before you finish and ask it.
No, I have to finish it. Does that in some way?
By the time you finish it, the same answer you got. Because it's no. I know enough as I'm telling you about the gentleman that I know his pros and cons. I know his pros and cons. It's not just what the man say. What the man do has a lot to do with expression. We don't only express
Brackett,
words
Mr.
alone.
Mr. Brackett,
action speaks too.
Mr. Brackett, do you then
Go ahead,
believe
sir.
that?
I'm sorry.
Do you then believe that Mr. Wade, Senator Wade, the senator for the churches, will in fact vote with the government for the acquisition of Smart?
He should be voting.
No. Do you
Wait.
believe? No. I don't want a qualification on it. I'm asking you a straight question. Do you believe the Senator Wade, the senator for the religious organizations?
Yes, okay. Based on what I know. I will answer the question based on what I know.
Okay. That's all you can do.
That's all you can do. Answer the question. And I don't think there should be anything wrong in my giving you an answer, whether the answer is the one you're looking for or not. But my answer comes from the basis of my information. What informs me tells me that the gentleman is playing a two-sided game. He has already committed to work with the opposition to block the government from getting what the government is trying to get done in certain aspects or respects. But then no, on this particular issue, he's going to try and qualify and dance around in circles and nip to, when in fact the deal is almost consummated.
Well, it's not going to get consummated until the House of Representatives approve it. Do
What
you
House of
believe?
Representative? You're talking to about a different House of Representative than the supermajority one that we
I'm
know
talking.
that we all
I'm
know
talking
exists.
about the House of Representatives for
Out of that
Belize,
house, yes, out of that House of Representative,
where
what
they have
percentage you think
26, where they have
will stand up with a backbone to give any credence to hold that stuff from coming to fruition?
they need the
Let's be
Senate. They
real.
need the Senate. They do not have a majority of senators. If the
We
senators
have
from
13
the social,
senators, sir.
let me, huh?
PUP has we have 13
Six,
senators. PUP have 6 to start with.
and
All
they
they need
need
is one.
seven. They need
All they
seven.
need is one.
Yes, they
And the
need
one is
one.
inclining to walk away
Do you do
and
you
betray the
believe
process.
that? That's what I'm asking you. Do
I've
you
already
believe?
my belief and my understanding and my knowledge that I have informs me to the point where I believe, and as I wrote earlier today, that the man is acting like a Judas. Okay, he
Well, I'm
knows
not
what the present
prepared. I'm not
situation is.
prepared to. I'm not prepared to say that at this point.
I
I am
went further than
taking
just
him,
saying that.
Mr.
But
Wade. I'm
you haven't read that yet, so that's
Mr.
why you asked
Brackett.
the question.
Mr. Brackett.
Go
I
ahead,
I
sir.
am I am going from the point that he said he opposes the purchase of SMART by the government of Belize. He did not give a qualifying for it. He pointed out that he also operates a television station, but he says he opposed it. Now, there are things that could
Sir,
make you change your
sir,
mind, but he
sir.
says that he opposed it. If he opposed it, he's not a vote for the government at this time.
He's a vote
As
for the government. He's a vote for the government to make sure that all the internet people like ourselves and others fall under the category that he is already qualified and categorized as a broadcasting station. We are not. We are a different animal in terms of our advocacy
that's a
against the
different thing.
government.
Let's
So
not, if you, when you
he no
collude
man,
all the
he no
when you
man
collude all the
facilitating
stuff,
the
you don't
government.
get reasoning. You don't get reasoning out of it. I understand that. That has nothing to do with this particular and specific issue. Yes, that was a drift. But let's put that aside for now.
The
Let's
gentleman,
look. No, no,
the
no,
gentleman is
Mr.
beholden to the government in power. Can I say that? And as my one statement,
You could say
you
that.
might not have to believe it, but can I at least stipulate that as my
You
one
could say
personal
that. You could
statement?
say that. You could say that. You could say that.
The man is compromised. He's dancing around I try not to be too personal, but it has to be personal. At the level of what we're talking about and dealing with these power brokers, I don't hold back no words when it comes to addressing and stipulating and speaking to the issues the way I think they ought to be spoken to. I could be wrong too, you know. Who am I to always be right? But at least I make an effort to not try to speak to things that I'm not fully informed on and or acquired as much knowledge as I possibly could, so I don't get myself embarrassed and put against the wall and shown to be a shyster. Because for all intents and purposes, then I'm dead and gone or done and gone. That is not where I want to find myself. Which is why when I speak to certain issues or certain points, I can do so emphatically because I know what the skeletons are. And so when you ask me that particular question just now, for example, if I believe the man would vote for the government, I damn well believe that he would because I believe that the man, as I stipulated earlier today, is a traitor to the cause. He's running around trying to ingratiate himself with the government. He was put on the Constitutional Reform Commission. Initially, he was put on the Constitutional Reform. Yeah, the first
Commission.
name. Yeah, and then subsequently he was recruited to go on the PCC, People's Constitution, um, yeah, Commission. One and the same, just change our name. But at the end of the day, the man has been working, and everything that I've heard him spoke with since he got involved with that endeavor, it's like he gave up the Christian part of his effort and is more inclined to be
Don't
politically
attack the man religion.
apologist.
Don't
No. I'm not attacking his
no, no,
religion.
no,
I'm not
no,
doing that.
no,
I
no,
will not do
don't
that.
attack his
I'm not attacking
Christian
his
thing.
religion because I'm a religious person too. Okay,
Yeah,
so I
yeah,
won't go
no,
there.
no, yeah, yeah.
I'm attacking
I'm
him
saying, but
personally for
none of us.
changing. I'm attacking him personally for
Yes,
changing his position in regards to issues of state that he is involved with. He has powers of state aligned behind him, and he's making as he, he's being an apologist on behalf of a bunch of criminals who are criminalizing us, the citizens of the country, and taking us for a ride and acting in onerous and criminal ways that we have no checks on. And he offered to be a balancing check, at least as the as the seventh senator, and is now waving and dealing and dancing because he's coming under pressure. The man is being pressured. The man is a businessman too, besides being a religious person. But the politics they get to him, and the politics they pressure the man to the point where he cannot afford to allow his business to go down because of politics. So he's going to bat for both teams. He's going to run for both teams. He's going to cooperate in all aspects of trying to maintain a middle ground situation. But that's not what it takes right now to fight against the kind of scoundrels that we are dealing with. He has a wide audience. And his audience believe that whatever he says has serious merits. So he cannot be compromising himself on the agenda of extricating ourselves from these vampires and jackals and then leave us out there doing the battle while he is cozying up with these guys. That's unfair and unreasonable. I mean, that's my perspective. I could be wrong, like I said. I yield back, sir. I'm sorry. I was, taking over this thing and just talking like it's only me one day on the show. I apologize for that particular.
Thank you very much. It is 8 o'clock. I don't know what time you plan on stopping, but
I have another 15 minutes or so to go.
Okay.
And the chairman didn't came in tonight.
Yeah.
Or we didn't have the other guests, so we could just eat up whatever is left. I mean.
Okay. That's fine.
Please feel free, but please feel free advocate and say whatever you have to say because it is your responsibility and your rights to be able to speak from your vantage point. Which is why every time when I ask the comments and so, it's from your vantage point or your personal perspective. It's what you have to offer.
It is my personal perspective. It is my learned opinion,
right?
And it is the choice. It is the choice that I advocate for.
That doesn't mean that sometimes we don't have difference of opinion or perspective.
Oh no, of course.
We just speak to them. We just speak to them, but difference of opinion doesn't enemy have to make.
Of course not.
And you have as much rights on the program as I do. So the fact that I'm sharing tonight doesn't mean that I'm not
going to give up my rights. I'm not going to give up my rights, Mr. Brackett. I'm not going to give it up at all. I'm going to stick to my position.
Yes,
and I do believe that the government has abused its rights. It has abused its privileges. It has abused the citizens, and that we need to recognize why this has happened. And whenever we have no competition, no contest, no one to hold them accountable, and particularly in our system of governance, it is a viable opposition party. And when, for whatever reasons, whatever failure of our democracy, whatever failure of our citizens, whatever failure of the political will of these individuals, their incapacity to get themselves elected and to speak up and to present themselves as worthy to the citizens so that they have choices that could make them contenders, then we as the citizens suffer from that failure. And in this time, in this period, the opposition we have to our government has been weakened, is less capable, less capacity to represent the people, gives the government an upper hand, a feeling of superiority and invincibility that they would not normally be so bold to hold. These guys are of the opinion that they're going to go out and win even the one district in the municipal election that the opposition now carries, because they're so weak and flattened and incapable. And the fact that this exists, and this is true to some extent, that we can see it, empower the government to not hold them in any account and to go about doing whatever they choose to do. This government is mired in this scandal of what seems some type of infeeding and corruption in the in
all
the
over the place,
in the defense
almost
department,
in almost
in
every different department.
in the
It's
defense department, in
all
the
over.
defense department, and we are certain that this is just a spark, that there are other areas where this same level of behavior and pattern exists. So when there's no coherent response from the opposition, no leaning on the traddle to hold them accountable, but every opportunity to sit up and pose with them and be smiling and not being holding them to account, and not even having the capacity to hold them to account, it it really and truly weakens our democracy. Yes, the government have a responsibility to make sure that the opposition is present. If they're doing an NCC program, it has a responsibility to make sure that the opposition is present in all these things. But these are not favors. These are not sitting up posing um, to be grateful, gratitude type of gestures towards the opposition. This is the responsibility of governance and government, and it is the responsibility of the opposition to take these positions seriously and to hold the government accountable. And
Yeah.
yes, please.
Uh, Thank you very much, sir. Uh, I would venture to say that I am part of the opposition to any government. As you may have heard me intimated a little earlier, that as someone who is no respecter of person, whether Governor General, whether Supreme Court, Chief Justice, whether Prime Minister or any other minister or any other judge or jury or whatever, I am no respecter of person when it comes to my country and its people and its governance. I'm a blood sworn vanguard of my country, and if I have to give up my blood or my life in pursuit of the well-being of my country, as a vanguard of my country, that's my responsibility and my commitment for decades now. You can go to my Facebook page and you'll see over 6,000, closer to 7,000 published or broadcast contextual advocacy on behalf of my country, and sometimes on behalf of the United Democratic Party, sometimes against the United Democratic Party. As I just pointed out to you, what the dastardly former Prime Minister had done in regards to our Constitution. I am no respecter of person. But by the same token, as one person among the many others who have been in opposition to the former UDP government and who is now in opposition to the present UP government, is because of their conduct, not because of the name of their party. And I find it kind of baffling to believe that for the criminal behavior of the UDP, that I, as one of the founding members of the UDP, was willing to help vanish them after having told them in no uncertain terms back in 2013, 2015, 2018, and 2020. There are letters that I had written to Mr. Barrow that stipulates exactly my position and my understanding about what the facts were and what the objective of the United Democratic Party should have been, or what the PUP should be aspiring to and trying to do on behalf of free country. I will never put any party, whether PUP or UDP or any other LP, ahead of my country. My country will always come first before any party. And any party would have to earn my respect for me to have any kind of support or empathy towards them, especially if that party is a government party who is riding roughshod over our people, malignant behavior, and power playing our people, while at the same time ripping off our national assets and our patrimony and our treasury, and impoverishing our people, and at the end of the day, turning around, and I'm supposed to blame the opposition because of the criminality or the criminal minds that run the government. I'm supposed to fault the opposition for not being able to force the government to be an honorable government, or be able to be in a position to get the government to do what's right. If you go at my Facebook page, as well as you could go at many other people's Facebook page, you're going to see a lot of work that the UDP has been doing. Not only just myself, many other UDPs. In fact, when the other scoundrel, the malignant farmer leader of the party, Mr. Shine Barrow, was beating down the party and scorching the party without any regards to its prospects, going up against a PUP government that had all the resources and the coffers of the government available to it, as well as millions of other dollars from other sources, including what they were taking out of the treasury and giving to each other in the different government departments, which came back to finance and help them with their political endeavors. In some instances, as a result of Mr. Barrow's malignancy, we didn't even have, we ended up with 2 divisions not even being contested, much less winning. Right now, we could have had at least about 8, 9 people on our side of the aisle. But malignancy is malignancy, deviousness is deviousness, evil is evil. Any which way you look at it, it is still the same thing. So the party had to go through what it went through. It was taken through without the need for it to happen. Because once the delegate from the biennial conference had spoken, if Mr. Barrow Jr. had any, if he was not a neophyte and a power-hungry person, you know, personalized politics that he was playing for his own personal agenda, then he would have just as well stepped aside and came back later to use all the things that he had already acquired for a future leadership position. Because he had a lot of qualities and things that could have been used by him and others to enhance the country's well-being. But instead, he decided to destroy and rake the whole thing over because the powers that be in the party decided that they didn't want him to be their leader at that point. Not that they couldn't have had him as a leader somewhere in the future, but he had the impression and was behaving as if I had given him a receipt in purchase of the party. That is, that he had spent some money to help the party, and he felt that by that virtue, his father gave him the keys to the kingdom, and he won the kingdom, and could have done just about what he wanted, you know, with the whole kingdom and everybody else occupying it. That is not how politics works. You cannot have a party operating on that kind of, with that kind of behavior, and then expect to go up against a well-financed, well-oiled machine with good candidates. And you know, the man, they never put up one candidate in the Pixac division, they never put up one in the Fort George division. They almost lost Albert. They almost they went ahead on the last Pixac, not Pixac, Collect. And they, you know, they could have lost. They could have been wiped out. They could have ended up with no seats in the House. But as far as Mr. Barrow was concerned, he didn't care. And now people are crying crocodile tears over his demise without themselves even knowing exactly what he had put the party through and why is it that the party is in the situation that we are now. And you Mr. Morrison, and many others I have heard complaining that the party is weak. And I take the complaint seriously. But you can't come from a weak party for the almost death scenario that I described earlier, that I didn't have to describe because it is well known, well documented in the recent political history of the country, that we are coming from a near death scenario whereby we are rebuilding the party. We don't have the capacity that we could have and should have had, but we should not be faulted for not being better than we are today because we're not where we're supposed to be. And I agree with you that an effective opposition is critical in holding account the government. But it's not just the opposition, it's all the other systemic issues with the Chamber of Commerce, the unions, and everybody else that are playing hanky-panky and don't want to come out to support the United Democratic Party as a party. But they didn't have no problems coming out to support um, the People's United Party as a party. Why? Because they love a winner. That's how we Belizeans roll. We always roll with the winner. And since the UDP is not a winner right now, people want to dismiss them, malign them, talk about them, marginalize them, browbeat them. How can a party raise from a situation where we are coming from with our own people or the independent-minded people? Because the independent-minded people are really the ones that makes a difference in the politics and when it comes to both parties. Okay? If the independent people goes with the PUP will win. If the independent people goes with the UDP will win. And that's just exactly what's going on right now. But in addition to that, I've heard many independent people, instead of trying to figure out how to be of assistance to the UDP or to create some other new party or entity, because you have a lot of small entities that are third-party entities, but they're unwilling to coalesce. They don't want to coalesce among themselves, much as join up with the UDP to go up against a government who has all the resources available to them. So how do we expect to be able to have a change of government? That's why these jackals and hyenas and vampires and vultures relate to us, the people of the country, the way they do. Because they know we don't have a leg to stand on.
There's one thing I want to say after
Sorry,
your long
sorry, sorry,
after
sorry.
your long dissertation,
Yeah,
Mr.
please,
Brackett.
please, please.
With all that, we cannot support incompetence. We cannot support not being able to have an agenda. We cannot support and believe that changes is going to come from those actions.
Sir,
So
please go to my webpage and please
I yeah,
appraise yourself of those very facts that you're speaking to
yeah,
because they're not
yeah,
jiving with the reality. The reality is right there, documented already, that you're not aware of, which is my concern.
yeah, yeah.
And I don't know
I mean,
how, how
there are
to
lots
express
I'm not
that to
aware
you.
of.
I don't
There
know
are
how to
I'm
explain it.
I am ignorant of so
So
many
am I.
things, Mr.
All of us
Brackett.
are. None of us come.
So I do not profess to know one the, the most minuscule amount of anything. Um, but I do know we cannot look at incompetence and dress it up and hope to discard all blame from it and say that with these it could have happened and it was
Uh,
possible. So
Mr. Morrison, make a tease you.
mhm.
I hope for not be too disingenuous in doing so, okay? Because we're in the public areas right now, okay?
Thank you, sir.
But I just want to tease you. For example, earlier this week, I heard somebody, well, not heard, but I came across an article where a lot of people were saying, we need a new leader for the UDP, otherwise the UDP not going nowhere. We need Darrell to be the leader. Or we need any other names that they were calling, I mean, a lot of other different names, right? Young people
Mhm.
and so on, The idea is that Miss Pantone is too fat, too slow, and inexperienced to be holding that position. So therefore, we should give it up to somebody else. Now, they fail to understand that with a mass party, there are process, procedures, and protocols that needs to be overcome. in order to achieve their, um, you know, infantile perspective. That is that in the first place, Darrell would have to be elected as a member of Congress, and we know there's no election coming
Parliament,
up
yeah,
now, Parliament
Parliament,
in the near future, at least until 30 at the earliest, unless there's a what you call a by-election,
early
one or
election.
two or three, whatever seat for
Mhm.
somebody die or whatever, they get sick or whatever. But at the end of the day, for Darrell to become the leader of the opposition, he would first have to win a seat. When and where and how come he would get that seat is yet to be proven as a valid prospect. Secondly, they want him to become the leader of the United Democratic Party. But not only him, like I said, others, there's quite a few other people in the runnings. Everybody think that by them marginalizing Ms. Anton and the UDP as it is right now, they will make the UDP crash and come off worse or unsuccessful, and therefore the need for the internal party politics people then to kick out Ms. Panton or to come up with a way, to not support her in the next convention to become the UDP leader. She's already the leader, just recently made so. Nobody else is going to be getting the support of the existing majority of the biennial conference delegates to make any new other person than Ms. Panton to become the leader. Until maybe when the next election comes around, and if they are bona fide UDP individuals, then maybe they can put up themselves and contest. But until then, the fallacy of trying to undermine Ms. Panton and her effort and the present UDP's effort to grow itself out of the stagnation that they had recently been in is disingenuous, because all it says is that if you're trying to beat down the only opposition you have right now, in other words, you're basically saying, for all intents and purposes, dismiss that current opposition and let the present government continue its wayward, malignant, devious, criminal conduct and ripping off the country. And that's why these guys operate the way they are, because they understand these mechanics, they understand politics. Only the few knuckleheads out there will understand what it takes to achieve what they are hoping could come into fruition, and they themselves are not willing to participate and try and make it come into fruition. That they're clamoring for Darrell to be the leader. Darrell is a well-spoken gentleman. He's a good potential person to operate within the system and become, if pursued adequately, a future leader of the party. As well as, in order to become the leader of the party, it is necessary, if we have elected members of the House of Representatives, okay, for them to have among themselves a leader selected as the lead parliamentarian among the opposition or among the UDP elected officials. Darrell can't sit in any of those positions right now or get anybody to elect as leader of the parliamentary caucus of the United Democratic Party, because he's not a member of the parliament. He would have to be able to have that position and then also have the position of the leader of the party, none of which, as I indicated earlier, by virtue of the mechanics of how the system operates, that he would be successful at being able to attain those objectives right now. So why spend for time the haggle back and forth with each other over that particular one individual and even many other individuals? At this point, none of those positions are open or vacant. So anybody that's interested, that's capable of mastering up a challenge, it should go about doing that, but not at the expense of tearing down the party. That is where, for example, like when you and I are having these conversations, which we do once in a while, and so I think we're still live. Shucks, I they go on and go on and go on. Anyhow, I'll give you back about 10 minutes for you to, or 5 or 10 minutes, or whichever you're
Okay.
comfortable with, for you to reply to what is it that I'm intimating, because I need to get out what I'm saying, and it
Yes.
needs to be
Thank,
understood that
I,
without dealing with the
you know,
mechanics,
I agree with
we
all
can't get
that you.
there. We can't get there from here.
Yeah,
Are you back,
I
sir?
agree with all you said, and I have nothing against the current leader of the opposition. I think she's a beautiful, kind person. I think she has a lot of capabilities. I don't see that strength of
Read her
leader.
CV. Read her
I
CV.
I don't, I know her CV. I don't see that strength, and I don't see that functioning of leadership of the opposition. And it has nothing to do with the personality, with the person, the individual, or anything of that sort. It is what is coming across to me in how she present herself in the situations where governance is necessary. And I agree with you that Darrell is not this answer to this at this moment,
He's not the
because
panacea.
let me finish my thought.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah,
don't
please.
don't
I'm
go in
sorry.
there. He's not the presenting himself. He first thing, he have not been able to win an election, and therefore that makes him not qualified for the position that we're talking about. And I'm not sure that anyone else currently in the house is perhaps capable. But what I'm saying, we need to start developing a plan to have a vibrant and effective opposition. And it needs for all of them to put their heads together so that we could come up with a working plan that could address this runaway government. We speak of not having funds and not having money to mount a legal defense. And if an opposition knows that they do not have the majority in Congress, in the parliament, to address the situation, then if there is some illegality going on, then that is the area we need to approach it. And whatever resources, whatever commitment they need to make, that's what they need to do to make sure that these things that are so harmful to the citizenry, to the country, are addressed in a legal way. Nobody is saying, I have many times said, I am not per se opposed to the purchase of smart. What I'm opposed to is
I'm
one,
100% against that.
well,
Let me
what
throw
I'm
that out there
against,
right now.
yeah, what I'm against is it a smart purchase? Is Are we getting good the for our money? Are we getting the just benefit and the resources? Is it worth the money the nation or BTL is willing to pay? And in fact, I said nation, but I meant that also because BTL is significantly owned by the citizens, by the taxpayers, and by the security social security board. The resources of that country is significantly indebted to those areas. So
And yet we have no part to play in terms of determining how these rascals are pushing the process to rip us off of our money and put us in a situation where even what we acquire from them now, they're not calling it the equipment that they were saying before because they may need the towers and whatever. It's not. No, they understand that all what they get now by going through with this purchase, they're just the
it's
farmer
customers,
clients them, the customers
the
them.
customers. We don't need the
Even that
customers.
is
The
ludicrous. Even that
customers
is
will come over in time when when there's no more service over there. So
they are
we
just trying to cash in on our dime ahead of
yeah,
time so that they
yes,
can use that same money and reinvest in purchasing shares in
BTL
the the other
in
people that stuck
BL
with it.
BL
No,
BL
no, 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 no. What is
or
this
the
man name, man? What is this man name?
Ashcroft.
No, no, no. Oh shucks.
Well,
The guy from
I
Ultraman.
think they want to go in the port. I think they
No,
want money to sort of invest
no, no. Wait. Let's not go there. I want to stick with that. I want to get that point out, but I can't get the man name. Musk, Elon Musk. I think I'm trying to think about.
uh,
The man have a system right now that is already launched.
SmartLink.
That yeah, that they won't you won't need any. kind of towers and things like where them guys
Yeah,
said them need to put
yeah,
up the wall towers them, fix them and put them up because they're going in the hinterlands and the
yeah.
bushes and all kind. These guys are just talking craziness to us, Belizeans. They are telling us all kind of craziness when it make no sense and add up to know, and they don't want to give us the information that we need to make we just like I said earlier, figure out on our own whether or not these guys are selling us pussy in a bag. They just want to cash out. And then Mr. Lizaraga brother, not brother, my family member, we own other parts of the other thing. That not just the 80 million, then try swing the whole deal when they may start out with from before. Okay? They want to buy the whole $190 million plus. But, they have we Belizeans, they're going in a circle, they run out of red herrings where other people they put out there for we run after. They don't want, we know what they're going to do because they think all of them are a bunch of idiots. And all what the man going to do, the hustle with. Because at the end of the day, once Mr. Ashcroft get for him part of that 80 million, who want to get it back out of his hide? Can we sue him to get it back? Can you go? We are in no position. The guys now that are in the position to look out for who interests are the ones that are betraying us. They're being treasonous to us. Are you back, sir? Sorry for intervening again.
Okay. I was saying.
Just go ahead and close it out. Use your last thoughts as the
Okay.
closing
Okay.
for us.
Okay. So
Close.
there's no, to me, there's no reason to believe that Mr. Bradley is the answer to this situation. He has not proven himself at this point, and
When I bring in Mr. Bradley, sir, then just to try who doing quick, if we make we party get in a situation because before Mr. Bradley ever get one step forward to become leader of we party, he have to walk over Mr. Shine. Okay, Mr. Shine Barrow is going nowhere, and he is ready and willing to step back into the position. He's looking for, so he don't make no just come roll over if he hear opportunity or chances. And then only just Mr. Bradley, like I said, there are many other individuals who have been spoken about as being potential, but none of them will run over Shine. And all we're trying to try to do right now is just pull along Miss Panton so that Miss Panton look bad and he finance one campaign against Panton, while at the same time it will help the PUP to stay in power, continue the wretchedness that they're visiting on the people. But Shine don't care about that. All he wants is to get back power and to prove to himself that he can become a future successful prime minister. He not just want the leader of the opposition or the leader of the UDP. He wants to become prime minister. And little does he know that before he become prime minister, Belize will become a republic and Bisenyo may become not only just a prime minister, but the first president of the future republic of Belize. A lot of people don't recognize and realize that and could care less, some of them. But those are the agendas of the political affairs of the country currently. I yield back. Like I said, thank you very much, sir, for your contribution, and please
thank,
close. Please,
thank you for having me, Miss. Thank you for having me, and
finish up the next 2 minutes.
Oh,
in your closing.
Yeah. Thank you for having
and
me.
I hope not to have anything else to say or contribute. I'll wait till the next program.
Thank you. I know you get these things tip you off, Mr. Brackett, and you can't hold it.
My
But
country is suffering, sir. My country is suffering.
we are all
Drive me crazy.
we're all challenged by what's going on, and it is creating a great deal of anxiety. The fact that the government is not adhering to any of the principles that we would expect them to in terms of good governance, in terms of there's so many issues lingering out there. The Budna issue, you know, the now the now the issue with the defense contracts and all this. There's so many issues
BEL, BTL.
Yes, there's so many issues lingering out there that kind of causes us to wonder what else is going on that we don't know about, because these things, they break so suddenly, and then we realize that there's so much level of corruption going on. And I'm hoping that we will find a way to get account. And what I see as making it accountable and holding the government accountable is us as the people. We could take that in the form of the opposition. We could take it in the form of social security payees. We could take it in the form of union members. We could take it in the form of just good citizens wanting to hold their government accountable. But whatever it is important that we find ways to make sure that they listen and hear to us. And I am so grateful that at this time in our country's history, we have a press and we have a reporter that is very concerned about the direction of the country, and they are doing everything they can to hold the government accountable when all the other levels have failed. So I'm hopeful that we continue to stand up as a people, and that at some point, for many years and for many instances, I had opposed to UNCA. But in the feeling that I'm having of recent is that probably that's the only way to bring some of this under control. And I'm still hoping that I'm wrong in that, but it seems like it's the only breath of fresh air that could make some differences, because it seems to me that both government and parties are not willing to make the necessary changes or even advocating for it in our governance. And what they all present is some flimsy type of excuse or ways into things, but no true advocacy to make structural changes that will prohibit the corruption that we see across every level of our government. So thank you very much and good night. And this was show number
Won-
465.
Wonderful contribution, Mr. Morrison, and thanks again,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Our people are better off for having heard your perspective and your contribution, and we're grateful for it. Good
Thank you,
night.
sir.
Thank you very much again, Belize and Belizeans at home and abroad. This is the 470th program. Looking forward to see you on Friday when I think I'll have my broke loose.
Thank
Good
you
night.
again.
Bye.
Good night.